It looks gentle. Its leaves shimmer like silk after rain. Yet this little plant was once too powerful for its own good. Governments restricted it, scientists warned against it, and gardeners, well, they kept planting it anyway. Today, that same forbidden herb has crept back into gardens worldwide, quietly, stubbornly, gloriously. Meet Comfrey, the bone-knitting, soil-healing, nutrient-packing miracle that refuses to disappear. For centuries, people called it knit bone or miracle leaf. A single plant could heal wounds, enrich soil, and multiply endlessly from a broken root. So, why would anyone ban it? Our story begins 1,000 years ago, along the muddy riverbanks of Europe. Monks in stone-walled gardens tended rows of herbs, mint for stomachs, sage for throats, and comfrey for bones. When a farmer broke a limb, comfrey poultices wrapped around the injury were believed to knit the bone back together. That's how it earned its nickname, knit bone. Early healers swore by it, mash the leaves, mix with honey or wine, and let nature handle the rest. Across villages, comfrey became both medicine and myth. Mothers rubbed its oil on children's scrapes. Soldiers carried dried leaves into battle packs. By the 1600s, every English cottage garden had a comfrey patch beside the gate, symbol of healing and resilience. Then science entered the scene. The 19th century chemists extracted compounds called allantoin and rosmarinic acid, the real heroes behind comfrey's healing fame. Allantoin encourages cell growth, while rosmarinic acid calms inflammation. Nature, as usual, had already solved the problem centuries before we measured it. But by the late 1970s, comfrey's golden reputation took a sharp turn. Modern toxicology studies discovered that the roots contained pyrrolizidine alkaloids, substances that, in large doses, could damage the liver. Suddenly, headlines screamed, "Healing herb turns harmful." Governments reacted fast. Internal use was banned in parts of Europe and North America. Comfrey teas disappeared from health shops. Herbalists were warned to stop prescribing it. The plant once loved for saving lives was now labeled a risk. Yet gardeners quietly muttered they misunderstood the plant. Because while its roots held the risky compounds, its leaves remained incredibly safe and spectacularly useful for the soil. And so comfrey found a new identity, not as medicine for humans, but as medicine for gardens. Here's the secret. Comfrey is one of the most nutrient-dense plants on Earth. Its long taproot dives up to 10 feet into the ground, pulling up minerals other plants can't reach: calcium, potassium, nitrogen, and phosphorus. It stores those treasures in its leaves like nature's slow-release fertilizer. When you cut those leaves and let them rot, they release everything back into the garden. A green brew so rich that gardeners call it plant tea. One comfrey patch can feed a tomato bed for years. Roses bloom heavier, fruit trees fruit earlier, and soil life explodes with microbes. The best part? Comfrey grows like magic. Drop a piece of root, and it becomes a new plant. It survives droughts, frosts, and neglect. It's almost indestructible. Which is why, when banned as a medicine, it simply changed professions and became a gardener's ally. Scientists later confirmed what old gardeners already knew. Comfrey tea contains up to 5 times more potassium than cow manure. For organic growers, that's like finding treasure in your compost bin. Even in professional agriculture, sustainable farms began using comfrey to reduce chemical fertilizer costs, saving money and restoring soil health at once. In the early 2000s, Comfrey began its quiet comeback. Environmental gardeners, permaculture pioneers, and backyard homesteaders started trading cuttings again. Forums lit up with posts. My Comfrey came back stronger. What had been silenced by lab reports was now revived by lived experience. They discovered that one patch of Comfrey could fuel an entire garden season. You simply cut the leaves every few weeks, soak them in water for a fortnight, and watch the brew bubble like a potion. When poured around vegetables or fruit trees, plants respond within days. Leaves turn lush, blossoms double, yields jump. Some call it green gold. Others call it the gardener's secret weapon. Either way, Comfrey had reclaimed its reputation, not through marketing, but through results. And for those still wary of its medicinal past, nature provided a twist. Selective breeders created Bocking 14, a sterile Comfrey variety developed in the 1950s that doesn't spread uncontrollably and contains minimal alkaloids. Safe for soil, safe for harvest, unstoppable in growth. From rural allotments in England to balcony pots in Tokyo, Comfrey found new believers, people who wanted to garden smarter, not harder. But Comfrey's modern story isn't only about growth, it's about value. In an age of expensive fertilizers and fragile supply chains, this one plant offers independence. A single mature clump can yield 50 pounds of biomass each season. That means less money spent on store-bought fertilizer, fewer plastic bags, and healthier soil that regenerates itself. Eco-brands have noticed. Companies now sell Comfrey pellets, liquid feeds, and powdered extracts, blending old wisdom with modern packaging. And yes, affiliates earn good commissions from them. Every time a viewer buys a make-your-own fertilizer kit or a sustainable compost system, you're supporting this quiet green revolution. But beyond profit, there's philosophy. Comfrey teaches something rare in today's world: resilience. Cut it down, and it returns stronger. Ignore it, and it still grows. It doesn't need perfection, it just needs a chance. Gardeners say tending Comfrey reminds them of patience. You learn to work with cycles, not against them, to feed the earth instead of depleting it. And in that simple act, the garden starts feeding you back. In harvest, in calm, in quiet pride. Strange, isn't it? The same plant once branded dangerous is now saving thousands of gardens worldwide. Maybe Comfrey was never too powerful, it was simply too misunderstood. When you walk past its broad, hairy leaves, you're looking at history's comeback story, a reminder that nature doesn't need approval to keep healing. It just grows, quietly, consistently, patiently. So next time someone tells you that plant's just a weed, smile. Because a weed is only a plant with more purpose than people realize. Up next, the $2 herb that turned into a $1 billion skincare secret. Subscribe and keep growing smarter.